Hello guys! If you enjoy my videos, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notification bell. On the Brawl Stars arena, a bright sunny day shone, and on this beautiful day, I want to tell you a story about an incredible robot named Stu. He was an employee at the famous Star Park amusement park. The robot looked very attractive, and he was created by a private company abroad, not on the arena. Specialists invested the latest technologies in him, making him smart and strong. After the presentation, the Star Park administration purchased Stu for several $1 million to check all new attractions for safety and ensure the safety of all park guests. The robot lived in Star Park, but did not have his own home. He was forced to live on the park streets. Of course, Stu did not want this, but it was his job and duty. Near the place where Stu checked the attractions, there was a souvenir shop where Colette and Edgar worked. However, they did not know Stu and did not have time to get to know him. As you may have already guessed, Stu spent all this time checking the safety of attractions in the park, although he was an excellent stuntman and could even fight. But for the park, this did not matter. Recently, new attractions appeared in Star Park which were unsafe. Because of this, Stu often got into accidents, and he didn't like it. The robot was afraid to do checks because he could break his parts and no longer be able to work. However, viewers loved accidents involving him and always came to check to see if he would get into an accident or not. One day, Stu decided he had had enough. He decided to run away from Star Park, so far that no one could find him. To escape, the robot had to wait until night, so no one would see him. He knew that if he escaped in his usual form, he would be found by morning no matter where he went. So Stu decided to go to the souvenir shop and buy clothes to disguise himself and escape quietly. The only store in Star Park was run by Colette and Edgar. Stu went in there for the first time in his life and was amazed by the huge assortment of goods.
Studying all of this will take forever,
Stu thought, and asked the cashier to give him any clothes that would completely cover him from other people's eyes. Stu said this very fearfully, and Colette suspected something was wrong. What if the robot was a criminal? Edgar approached Stu, and Colette signaled to him with her eyes that the robot was strange, and it would be better to escort him to the exit. Edgar looked at him and said that unfortunately, they couldn't sell him clothes, so he should go to the exit. Hearing this, Stu was very upset. He couldn't escape without clothes, but since they wouldn't sell it to him, he had to go back. So the robot returned to his workplace at Star Park. The next day, he was to inspect a dangerous attraction, and during this inspection, something terrible happened. Stu had a terrible accident. He partially broke his wheel, which means he cannot accelerate at high speeds and conduct proper inspections of attractions. Management decided to fire him. Yes, they bought him for a lot of money, but he had already paid for himself a long time ago, and now they no longer needed him. They would buy another robot that would be newer and better. What jerks! Certainly, Stu wanted to leave Star Park himself, but the robot didn't want to escape in a broken state. After all, you wouldn't be able to live for long with a damaged wheel. The upset robot was going to leave Star Park. Meanwhile, Edgar and Colette decided not to go to work in the souvenir shop today, but to take a day off and go ride the attractions at Star Park. On the way to the park, they met a sad robot and remembered him. Colette felt sorry for him. She decided to approach him and find out what happened. Asking why the robot was so sad, he looked at the girl and immediately remembered her. He replied that it was all because of them. But the brawlers didn't understand what was going on and asked the robot to explain exactly what happened. He told everything about the accident and how if they had sold him clothes, he could have escaped and none of this would have happened. The brawlers felt really sorry for Stu. They explained that they had deemed him dangerous and therefore decided not to sell him clothes. But since it was their fault that this happened, not helping Stu had become a real crime for them. Learning that the robot's wheel had broken, they decided to take him to Pam so that she could fix him. When they'd arrived at her house, they knocked, but no one was there. Where could the brawler be? Colette thought and remembered that she spent a lot of time at the dump. so they headed there. Unfortunately, she wasn't there either.
What should we do?
Edgar didn't want to waste time and suggested that they replace the wheel themselves.
There's a lot of stuff on the dump. I can find a similar wheel and replace it for the robot,
He suggested. Starting the search, they managed to find a very similar wheel for Stu in half an hour. Edgar approached the robot and asked him to lie down on the ground. With a little effort, he managed to replace the wheel. Sitting on it, Stu felt even better than before. But he didn't want to go back to his old job at all. After all, he could break some part again, and there was no guarantee that he could fix it again. Stu thought he would be out of work and was just going to leave far away from here. But Collet and Edgar still felt guilty, so they offered him to become a brawler. With his skills, the robot would be a perfect fit. Stu liked the idea. He was good at fighting and could show off his abilities. Stu arrived at the training base, where he demonstrated his usual attack. He fired 2 firecrackers that caused serious damage. The super robot could also make a forward leap, knocking down any enemies in its path and leaving a trail of burning rubber that ignites any enemy that steps on it. Stu's ability was very much appreciated by the administrators. After all, he could put on an unforgettable show for the arena fans. And that's how Stu became a regular brawler. Yes, although his abilities are good, the organizers decided not to give him any rarity. Stu was lucky that it didn't bother him at all. He started living a peaceful life on the arena. Fighting with brawlers was more enjoyable for him than getting into accidents on rides. Also, now the brawler had his own house where he could rest well after fights. Our video is coming to an end. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed our content. If you have any suggestions or requests, please feel free to leave your comments under this video. Thank you for being with us, and stay tuned for more stories about the heroes of Brawl Stars on our channel.